Hello, Star Lovelies. It's a great time to be a soul. Today we're talking about how to use the seasons and their energies to increase your success. And so when you're thinking about the calendar, you are then stepping into the new era and the way of working that takes those softer feminine skills, that takes that intuitive, soulful vibe. And when you match it with that masculine strength for success, you wouldn't believe the impact that you can have just by following the seasons a little bit differently. So I'm going to go through the seasons themselves, what their energies are. I'm going to be giving you examples on how people have used them and how to use them and what it means. And then we're going to go in and I have tips for every single one of the intuitive success signatures for you. So without further ado, we're going to start. And I'm going to start more from that, goddess calendar, from the calendar of the ancients. And it actually starts on November 1st. And this is where the new seasonal energy opens up, because November, December, January is actually the season of potential. We have this very earthly element where we go inward and we seek the answers that are much more impactful and much more insightful. There's at the end of the year, we do this retrospective. And then at the beginning of the year, we set all these intentions and we, some people call them resolutions. This is the middle of that season. And so when we look at the season like this, we can start just a little bit earlier and open ourselves up because it's a feminine energy. The northern gateway is Samhain. So on that November 1st, we're literally opening ourselves up. The veil thins. We have a much more ability to be intuitive because it's a reflective time. You can let your mind wander. You can imagine. You can plant seeds, and they're filled with endless possibility. This is that time of thinking of going into the black hole and there's nothing there. Well, because there's nothing there, everything is possible. So you can set your big dreams. You can literally open yourselves up and deepen and gather. Those are the more feminine words of this energy. But masculine ones are you can set strategies and your intentions and think of the themes for the year and milestones, those big, huge pillars you want to set up for yourself. Because this season offers deep intuitive connection. And you can actually be more accessing your inner voice at this time of year versus other times of year. And so if you think of the flow of it, this initiates, there's the permeation of you being very perceptive and insightful, and you can follow your own internal compass. It's a very quiet season. This is where you can really recognize that yin power of strategy. And then as you get beyond the apex of the season, which is that solstice, you can then start that planning and start that really strategic direction outlaying to derive your best plan for the year. So I'm going to go into those intuitive success signatures and give you tips based on your signature for this season, for this time. If you haven't taken that 12-question quiz yet, go to your starmaptosuccess.com. Answer those questions, join the 22,000 others who've taken it, and you'll find out your energetic signature. Do you enter the world through your mind? Do you enter it through connection? Do you enter it through action? Knowing that and then knowing the energies of the seasons will help you to recognize ooh, this is my season. I'm going to rock this season. Oh, this really isn't my season. Not so much with this one. Okay, you know what? I'm going to do my best to plod through it. Maybe I'll get a little bit more support during the season. Super helpful for you. So the wise strategist for the season of potential, that's that November, December, January timeframe. This isn't honestly your favorite time. You love the strategic planning element of it, but you immediately want to go into your mind and be like, my goals, my targets, my, all the things, let me set my schedule. And a lot of times what you do is you eke out the magic of it. So try to take a deep breath and take moments to reflect, ponder, ruminate, and journal your innermost thoughts and deepest desires, because that will lift your strategy and you'll be more satisfied with it. Intuitive visionary, this is your jam. You will love this season. This is where you can use that vision, that intuitive, listen to your inner voice. You love possibility and potential. This is like a boundless energy. You just adore it. So allow yourself to revel in this and really relish this time, because as we flow into the next season, you're going to then have to buckle down, but enjoy this one while it lasts. Collaborative Explorer, this trajectory is all about you. And please give yourself permission to use that earthly element of this to stabilize your footing, to literally think about what you reviewed from last year and like what worked for you, what didn't work, and let yourself open up to you and put yourself in the center, because you can see where you've come out strongly ahead from the last year, and you can see where you really didn't work on those goals. So that's a beautiful, kind of like a web, if you will, and it can give you like those missing pieces, and then you can lean into those pieces that you'd want to spend more energy on. Ruling Warrior, you like this time of year because you can review where you stand, you can set your goals, you can look at your baseline for revenues and profits, you can literally look how your resources have done and whatnot, but allow yourself to be passionate about having some vacation time and some fun. Creative Superstar, this is a beautifully creative time for you. It's an open-hearted time. It's a soulful time. It's intuitively guided. Let your imagination run wild. Dream your biggest dreams. Literally pursue your deepest passion and gather your reflections to use them to create the best version of yourself in the coming year. Loving Alchemist, this is also a great time of season for you. And so you can commune with yourself. You can craft a beautiful schedule throughout this season to spend time on you. Journal, meditate, marinate, ponder, contemplate. Really do it around your value and around your power and around your unique version for success. For potential, there are so many people. This is what I do. I walk into the stars the minute you're born. I channel the voice of your soul. I open you up to your endless soul potential. But what does that really mean? So I want to give you an example of someone who's an intuitive visionary who I've worked with. And so she was in a place where she wasn't really opening up to the full potential because she had some personal things going on. So once we righted, it was timing that righted itself, and she could say yes to do transformative work. She was really working on areas of her business that weren't fully open to her. And so when we opened her up and said, oh my goodness, you're a paradigm shifter, she remembered it. It was like validating for her. And then we set up ways that she could receive support so that she could materialize in this area, that she had to do some shifting with her current support. There was a lot of things that she had to do from a relationship perspective, because it was the relationship definition she was giving to herself and others that wasn't allowing her to be true and open to herself. So once we were able to say, guess what? Here's your potential. Here's the big, huge, vast picture of it. Here are the ways that are working. Here are the ways that aren't working. And so we got to that issue, we cleared it up, and then she was able to say, guess what? Now I can put all these things purposely in place, and then I can really realign myself and step out into that potential. She has grown her business by 300% in the last few months. Season of potential, wildly amazing from a season perspective. From a more open evergreen perspective, that's where I wanted to lay out that example for you so you can see how, wow, even if we know our full potential, we want to make sure that we can get to under the covers so that we can realize it. Season of purpose, the next season on the wheel. It's February, March, and April. These are the element of air. This is the apex. You come at it to the equinox. So there's a balancing energy here. It isn't so much that stretching out where that solstice for the season of potential makes it big and vast. This is planning. This is setting your strategy. This is putting all those goals, those targets, those schedules together. This is hiring your resource. This is a very logical time. And it's very much using the left brain and those masculine expressions that you've developed. But there is a magical element with this. And if it's air, and if you learn to go with the flow and be flexible and stay in balance, like the equinox suggest and understand and appreciate the cyclic energy of the tides moving in and out. There are times to gather and anchor and root and really optimize and fine tune. And there are times to then grow and expand and really bring out forth that growth. When you're setting your strategy and putting your goals together, you're putting your schedule together and you're looking at your resources, it's really beneficial to change from exhaustion and stress into sustainability and scalability, and understanding the flow of air is really helpful for doing that. It can help you shift your perspective and see things fully. And so this beautiful seasonal flow has come out of that big, huge, vast season of potential. We're in that season of purpose right now. And so during this, we are looking for fostering the planning, the terra firma, if you will, of putting construct around those big dreams that you came out of the season of potential with. And so for the intuitive success signatures, the wise strategist loves this season. The season and the wise strategist hand in hand, like they revel in it. This is like, catnip for them. They love it so much. Taking the lead, conveying and communicating to inspire others is really helpful, because sometimes with the wise strategist, you're so caught up in your plans and you realize, I haven't really told anybody. So you definitely want to get other people on board. But the intuitive visionary, not your favorite time at all. Not at all. This could be one of those times where you're really not liking it at all, because you all those big dreams and that beautiful, luscious potential, you now have to put, limits and resources on it. There's the time, there's who's going to do it, how are they going to do it, where is it going to come from? You're going to need support in this area, because you will skip through this and set that high level strategy. You'll get everybody super inspired for it. So that's nirvana for you. But then to actually put the concrete details around it, it's too boring for you. So you have two choices. One is you can definitely recognize this and recognize this is a fail point for you, saying it nicely. I am an intuitive visionary. Or you can hire some support for this, because really putting those constructs in place actually gives you more freedom. We think that it doesn't, but it does. Now, Collaborative Explorer, this is where you want to make a list of your key resources, your network buddies, your collaborators, your prospects, your clients, your alumni. You want to identify opportunities and you want to identify support, and you want to set up processes and scripts for outreach, because you're actually getting ready to prepare, like in the season of power, for all that networking, all that collaboration. But we want to increase your capacity for that. So as you're doing your goals and your objectives and you're really utilizing this planning, also do it with a connecting vibe that you have, because oftentimes we don't really think about that. We don't think about collaboration being in and among our client set or in and among our alumni. We think of it always as meeting new people. So to shift your mind on that, Ruling Warrior, you love this season. It's goal-oriented. You love that target setting, the goal setting, the expectation setting. You love laying everything all out. But you want to make sure you don't just exhaust and stress everybody else out, because you forget that not everybody has unending energy. So allow yourself to have those moments. This is why my client, who's a ruling warrior, her first question to me is, when should I take vacation? Because if we don't set that up, she's not going to do it. And if we don't set that up, then her team members can't do it. So I adore my ruling warriors. Okay, creative superstar. This is your worst season. You hate this season too. You and intuitive visionaries, not so much with the planning season. However, there is air here. So this flow, this beautiful, intuitive element of that shifting and that change. Allow yourself to recognize that when you do set your calendar, when you do put some things in place, you actually gain more freedom. Loving Alchemist, you can really vibe with this season. And we want to do it energetically, like add energy to your calendar, add some power to those events that you really adore. Let your heart and soul energize those mindful intentions that you have, because you can set the foundation to make any year the best year yet. So what's an example of purpose and how does it really work? Because again, if you're going to notice as I weave through that I'm always weaving potential and purpose and power and prosperity. That's just the outward reflection of the work that I do. And so there's landscape designer who I adore, who was working for someone else. He was, frustrated. The leadership was terrible. It was, they were giving him tons of responsibility without any authority. He wasn't making enough money. He was working too hard. He wanted to start his own company, but he didn't want to step into leadership at all. He wanted to just do it. And it was almost like looking for that relief valve. We've all felt it before. We've had a bad boss. We've had a bad scenario. And we're like, we just want to, pull the ripcord and get out, right? What's my biggest exit strategy? And quite frankly, he pulled the plug before he started working with me. So I had known he'd been stirring, and I had known about his, desire to leave. But honestly, I am intuitive. And I was like, ooh, he's a majorly reluctant leader, and he's got some issues with power. So if he doesn't recognize purposefully how to set up his best business model for growth and for scalability, he has the challenge or opportunity, however you want to think about it, as setting up the exact same type of business that he hates. And so, we did a swift shift when I pulled the plug, and it was like, okay, all hands on deck. Let's go ahead. Let's work on 3 things simultaneously. And what did we work on? We worked on getting him to realize his natural leadership style, but his fierce, absolute 100% not wanting to do it. And he was not understanding his power. So energetically, we had to work on those 3 things, because purposefully, for him to set up the right business model, to have the right tools, to be able to understand the network, he's a collaborative explorer. So he was going to build this business really quickly, but he was going to limit himself massively. He was going to, if he hired somebody, he was going to start, like I said, doing the same things that his former bosses were doing, and it was going to set him up for failure. So being purposeful about what your intentions are, about what it is and why it is you are setting up, whether it's your original business or your mission, or you're revisiting it, or whatever your vision is, understanding what your soul level mission is critical. Because being purposeful doesn't work if you're under the wrong impression, or you're aligned with the wrong trajectory, or you're working with the wrong tools. So him being a leader was absolutely imperative for him to be able to accept, both mentally and energetically. And honestly, one of my favorite stories is literally, I had him put on, quote unquote, his power pants every morning, because doing that energetically helped him stand in it. And he realized, like, oh, wait a minute, I can be a good leader. I just need to do it under my own definition of it. And I need to really wear it. I need to really respect and appreciate how it is that I work, how it is I communicate, how it is I want to set up the business, and what's really important to me. So we did it, and he blew away his targets in the first year. He doubled his business in his second, and he's increased his revenues by almost 600%. So that's amazing. What a case for purpose, right? Now we go on to the 3rd season, the season of power. This is May, June, and July. It's an element of fire, we can imagine. It's apex, it's a solstice. So again, we can understand and appreciate there's this big, vast energy that opens up. And so this is a male expression, where the last solstice energy in the season of potential, we had a female expression. This starts with Beltane, which is on May 1st. Like I said, it's May, June, and July. But its impact is all about powerful authority. We now have reached the point where the growth is evident in the world. We're willing to express it. We want to make big impact. We want to have people come into our sphere of influence. It's a very yang time. This is a fiery core energy. And if we keep that fire at the core without burning it at the edges, we don't, have those experiences of exhaustion or stress. So we want to make sure that the feminine energy also comes up at this time, not just power. Because think about this. When a fire is beautifully contained and continues to have that fuel added to it, it burns forever. When it's just raging, it destroys. And so it's a destructive energy. So we want to be really mindful of that, because we want to be able to use this season for success. It's a great one for collaboration. It's a great one for outreach. It's a great one for speaking, as I've said. It's a great one to be visible. But again, in your own alignment with your energy. So let's look at those intuitive success signatures, right? So the wise strategist is is really great about setting up the systems and setting up the conversion, like automations and things like that, in order to be able to know what to do after a speaking engagement, for example. But the wise strategist isn't so much with that speaking engagement if it involves a big audience. So knowing those things is really helpful to ensure that you're doing the right visibility for you, as well as understanding and appreciating how to make it sustainable. So you don't like the unpredictability of a lot of things. So smaller groups, but if you're comfortable with that, that's okay, because consistency is the key. Intuitive Visionary, you love this season. This is one of those seasons where you're like, oh, I get to breathe again. I get to make, major impact. I get to speak everywhere. I get to do everything. I get to reach out to everybody. But yet, if you're not grounded, you're going to be really super distracted, and you're going to, energize a lot of people, but not convert them. So it's not going to really do you any good. Collaborative Explorer, this is the connective tissue for you. This honestly is your season. And as long as you have beautifully laid things out, you can take full advantage of it. If not, don't worry, but take time during this season to understand who are you seeking for support and who are you seeking for opportunities, and how do you want to use them to grow your business in ways that serve you. Ruling Warrior, power. You love power. This is so good. And you can deepen your authority if you are engaging and talking about yourself and telling stories and being more heartfelt and open. Because think about relationship building versus sales building. I'll leave you with that one and let you ponder that. Creative Superstar, this fuels your creativity. So you're feeling really super creative, but you don't adore the conversion process after the outreach. So really remember to invite people and to make those offers, because this is the difference between being a very successful, business person and being someone who's super creative, but not actually being able to make their ends meet. And I have a case study that I'm going to leave in the article that I'll put in the show notes, but I just want to tell the story of the creative superstar that had 500,000 people in her TikTok following, but had only made $35,000 and half the year had gone by. So she wasn't making the offers. She didn't have a clear way for people to come and say yes to her. Once we shifted that, the first 2 weeks, she made $14,000. So that's the difference for you, creative superstar. Loving Alchemist, you're power personified. So this season, it's totally aligned with you. Allow yourself to put yourself on your own stage. Host poolside chats, fireside chats, whatever season, on Earth you're in, whether you're in winter or summer, and really have beautiful conversations and let yourself fall in love with your value, your offerings, your gifts, and your prospects and your clients. So the season of power is a beautiful season. Let's go into the season of prosperity. This is August, September, October. This is the last season in this year of energetic seasons, and it's a water element. It is a feminine energy. This is about harvest and bounty. This is a beautiful time to understand and appreciate that there's almost sub-seasons with this. This is where appreciation, reverence, and reciprocity are the tenors. When you put the attention at the beginning, the middle, at the end, you open yourself up to prosperous flow. So there's a giving and receiving. There's that reciprocity piece. And when you're opening to that appreciation and you're really standing in reverence of your own value and the value that you can bring to others and the value that they bring to you, this heightens every single person's chance for prosperity. So the seasonal flow, you've gone from season of power where you've really had that outward expression, but now think about this. This is the lead nurturance. This is the follow-up. This is the follow-through. This is the harvesting of all those seeds that you've planted in the former seasons. And so you don't want it to go by. A lot of people, what they do is they start planning for the next year during this season, and they end up losing out on people that are at the ready to say yes, and they've looked either through them or beyond them. You don't want to be in that situation. So for you, wise strategist, this is a really beautiful time for you to, that physical evidence is what you adore. So you can look at your sales to date, your profits to date. You can magic up your numbers and still continue to do that follow through because you are such a great lead nurturer, but you don't think of yourself like that. For you, intuitive visionary, this is one of your seasons that you adore too, because you love that prosperous flow. You love to go with the flow. And as long as your rhythm and tempo matches that of your audience, you will absolutely have a prosperous season. You will be able to tie off those beautiful, leads that you've been nurturing. Not so well. You've been inspiring. Let me say that because it's much better from an inspiring perspective. So make sure you have some clear pathway to come work with you. Collaborative Explorer, also your energy does align with this too. And when you show appreciation for the abundance in your life and the abundance in your offerings and the abundance you can offer others, that's when you really step into your prosperity flow. Ruling Warrior, I put a pin in what we talked about in the season of power and to talk about relationships versus just transaction. This is why. Because a lot of times you'll cycle through the seasons so quickly and you won't do a lot of lead nurturance, so you're leaving money on the table. This is a time to look at the prior handful of months and see who has come close to you or who you are already working with that you can then really round out that relationship. Creative Superstar, prosperity, you can entertain harvest, bounty, prosperity. Well, if I talk about money, you don't adore that, but actually money really likes you. So as long as you can accept that reciprocity cycle and you can really own your gifts and talents, you can show up and widen your receiving container so more people can come in. Don't think about it as a heavy lift of working with people. Think about it as beautiful, spacious, freedom and creation of opportunities for you so you can have even more space and time and ability to create. Loving Alchemist, you're great with prosperity, but you can repel money as much as you attract it. And what you'll find is, yes, there'll be some people that don't actually come into your world, but they're not your people anyway. So this is where you're then going to be attracting your soulmate clients, and the quality of those leads and the quality of those prospects are going to be such that you're going to be getting more yeses. It seems like you're just going to be talking to fewer people, but it isn't the number of people you're talking to. It's a number of people you can work with and serve, and you can exchange your gifts. So I adore Loving Alchemist. I actually adore all the signatures. Just this Loving Alchemist I'm thinking about. She's a book coach, and she is so incredibly impactful with her work. She holds space. She creates clarity. She helps her authors find their voice, and she gives these, beautiful stories through them, with them, and because she shows up in such a powerful way that she holds the space and anchors the potential. And when she started realizing that, it shifted every single thing about the way she works, about the way she doesn't want to work, about who she wants to work with, about how she wants to work with them. And so we were able to go through her removing her blocks to her own power. Then that removed the blocks to her money. She was able to step fully into her own value. And now, she literally get boxes from her all the time. I just got 3 clients today. I just got 2 clients today. She's doing an amazing job. And it just warms my heart, and it just opens my soul, because this is the work that she's meant to do. And now she can fully appreciate and own her own gifts. It's so beautiful. So the seasons have energy in them that you can align with and you can use to go with that universal flow. It has a feminine expression. It has a masculine energy. And it has this beautiful vibe of being like it's cyclic within cycles, where those equinox of the season of power and the season of prosperity are, or it pulls you to the edges like that season of potential or that season of power. So understanding and appreciating how these seasons work, how they flow in with each other, how your energies align with it is so incredibly impactful. And I was giving you specific stories so that you can understand and appreciate how it could look like for you. So you can embrace your full potential to realize your life purpose, reclaim your power, and increase your prosperity. So you can literally do this in ways that you can say yes to, whether you want to do this on your own, you want to do this with a little bit of help, want to do it a little bit more, look in the show notes. We're laying out how you can get some really beautiful event support, how you can use this podcast for support, how you can step in further and come into a beautiful group program, how you can work with me one-on-one. I mean, this is such a time for you and for your success. Thank you for listening, and stay tuned for more ways to use the stars strategically to align with your soul purpose, reclaim your power, and increase your prosperity. Please rate and review your favorite episodes, and remember to check out my website at kimwoods.com for my latest forecasts, articles, and offerings. To find out your intuitive success signature, take my 12-question Do You Know, Like, and Trust Yourself quiz and find out how you're living your stars at yourstarmaptosuccess.com. I've so enjoyed our time together, as it's filled with the power of the stars plus strategy to clear the pathway to your success. Until next time, happy soul tidings.